Ernest Miracles Abuaji, aide to Dr. Bawumia, says that the elections are over, the campaigning period is over, we no longer have competitions, we no longer have factions. Paul, is this true?
Oh, yes, it is expected that the party people will say
Samson,
that.
why does he keep changing his spectacles depending on...
One for reading, one for sight.
I know, but my problem is how he knows the difference.
I wanted to prevent
No, I know how
the man is on the way you are...
No, but you know the funny thing, how he knows, but they're both the same.
We do plenty things.
When the matter is hard, you have to change the space.
And by the way, before that, somebody insists that I should make this correction.
Yes.
That there is a certain narrative that is not correct, and we need to correct it. And the narrative is that the correction is that the sponsoring institution for the memorial project, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Project, was the World Bank under the Ghana Tourism Development Project in partnership with the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Ghana. But it is a government that said we want to do a project, and
if the president at the time said we won't do it, how would
they don't like the fact that
yes, go on.
did it. They don't like the fact that institution has given tourism a lot of money. If you look at the visitors there, and Akufo-Addo did it because Nkrumah is one of our biggest tourist exports.
Right.
So we really have to fix it. And it shows the candor of the man.
Yeah.
But anyway, the NPP is at an important place. But as I have looked at the history, what is happening to the NPP now almost certainly mimics what happened to the NPP in 1998, when they decided that they needed to elect a candidate 2 years before, and the candidate that was elected the last election was challenged, and then he won, and then what he did. So I'm hoping that the NPP will take from the leaf of what happened at that time. Naturally, you expect political people in the NPP to say that we are united, and that will happen. You see, typically opposition parties don't struggle for unity. I think we've not noticed that in this country. The NPP won 2016 elections at the time when everyone would have thought that they are not united. The chairman of the party is fired, the general secretary of the party is fired, everybody, there was chaos all over the place. If you listen to Evans Mensah on Top Story and Eugene Entry, who used to be MP of Subi, said that when he heard Top Story, his stomach, because you hear Evans Mensah shouting, oh, the invisible forces are back at the NPP head office. This is 3 months to election. And he was dying, but the NPP won the election. So opposition parties don't unite, don't worry about unity that much. It doesn't mean they shouldn't foster unity, they should. But ultimately, they will come around. Dr. Bawumia has a decision to make. And I think that it's time that after he has served the party, the length of time that he has served the party, after he's been vice president and he's been elected twice as leader of the party, it's important that he leads the agenda and he turns it into a Bawumia party. It's very, very important he does that, because how you come can also limit the way you express yourself even when you become. Because he came in picked by somebody. See, if you compare him to Akufo-Addo or Safo-Mafu, J.H. Mensah, and all these guys, they didn't come to NPP because somebody picked them to be running mate. They came to NPP because they loved it from students' time, blah, 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 blah. So they seem to have a certain pedigree. That pedigree cannot compare to one who has been running mate for 2 terms and has been vice president and has also proven to be a great vice president. So he needs to make his own decisions at this stage. And I'm happy with the way he started by talking to candidates.
Made for 4 terms.
Yes, candidates coming to him and he talking to candidates and all of that. I think that's important. In terms of the parliamentary situation, I remember that...
Before we get to the parliamentary situation, I got a feeling that you wanted Ken Agyapong to win.
Oh, I didn't. I just was hoping that whoever the NPP elects will be the person that can actually crack the whip, which is what they...
I followed you. I follow you, and I realized you projected Ken over Bawumia.
Oh, no, I didn't. Because if you watch our program, for every Bawumia interview, we had a Ken interview. That's how we did it. So on the day that Frimpong Boateng came, he didn't even speak for Ken, but he sort of tilted towards an anti-Bawumia agenda. There was Niti Wu.
No, in 2023, I followed how you projected Bawumia as well. It was completely different. You gave Ken very little space. But
in
were you surprised at the outcome?
No, in 2023, I didn't examine Ken. But in 2026, I sat down to examine his campaign. I talked to his people, why this, why that. In 2023, I didn't examine him at all.
There are those who had said that for the NPP to even qualify him as a candidate to hold its flag, the NPP was lost. It had lost its image.
No, I think that's very wrong.
As a credible party.
I think that's very wrong. And I am hoping that in the campaign that Dr. Bawumia will launch, he will incorporate some of the things Ken Agyapong was saying. It is very, very important that he does. Because some of the things Ken Agyapong was saying can actually win you an election or can lose you an election. He's going to the people and telling them that you don't have jobs because our people are not thinking. Why can't you do this water yourself? Why can't you do this yourself? Why can't you create a road? One day I went to Kennedy and I was asking him about his plans. And then he said to me that we have traffic from Accra to Cape Coast to Takoradi. We do. I said, yeah, we do. He said, okay, God has blessed us. When you are driving from Accra to Cape Coast to Takoradi, look on your left. I said, what is on your left? He said, tell me, what is on your left? I said, it's a sea. He said, right there is another road. And we don't do it. I had not thought about it. And I said, I don't understand. I said,
many people have said,
you are driving straight. Next is the sea. Put a boat on it and let the boat also go. So there are some things that we have to take from these very practical people. A lot of us who have benefited.
Is it a question of lack of vision, ideas, or really it's about it comes down to money?
It is the education we had. The education we had did not teach us to create. So few revolutionary people have come out, Kofi Bentil, Bob Hinson, and others, who are now telling us that you don't have to follow the path. We went to Legon, finishing and waiting to get a job.
Do you remember what we were told will happen to the Korle Lagoon?
By Ken Agyapong?
No.
By everyone else.
By
those
the
who
NPP.
Promised.
Yes.
Yeah, that they would change.
What was going to happen?
Yeah, they couldn't do it.
So it's a question of money, really.
No, it's not just a question of money. It's also a question. Here in this country, sometimes we do things in a certain way. If you want to do the Korle Lagoon, what a well thought out plan will do is first to settle and understand how to settle the people there and actually do settle them. So if you tell that all of you live around the Korle Lagoon, please, we are moving you to Mamprobi for this reason. Now here in Mamprobi, you have this and that and that. And then what we are doing at the Korle Lagoon, because it is your land, you have 10% interest. Again, Ken Agyapong told me that when he is trying to move people, we settle it. Here in this country, we don't do that. Look at the Labadi Road, Teshi, where I live. Many governments have paid them to move. Akufo-Addo is the one who came to break the buildings because he said that, they've paid, Rawlings has paid you, this has paid you, but we just pay them. We don't move them anywhere. Of course, when Akufo-Addo broke that in 2019 or 2018, the NPP lost all that area. Labadi, Teshi, Nungwa was completely lost, and it will be lost. Today, the NDC is doing Ramsar sites and breaking people's buildings. I bet you it's going to feature in the 2028 elections because here we are. We don't do the thought leadership thing. Let's think. What do we do with these people? They are 50,000. If it's going to take us 2 years to do it, what is their birth rate? They may be 70,000. So let's move them to Aman here, to Pram Pram, to here. Build something that is attractive. And I saw it in South Africa. They built 2 million houses for people, move them and put them there. Build something that's attractive. But the land that they are living, you need to understand that they still have an attachment to the land. So what are you giving them in the thing that you are doing? For the Gan people, their one is located there. One is deity. Their deity is located there. They can't move the deity out. So yes, on the basis of that, to answer the question, I had examined Ken Agyapong's campaign this time, and I thought that there were certain things in that is good. So I needed to give them an expression on Good Evening Ghana, and that's what the team agreed. So that's what we did. So yes, Dr. Bawumia is still the, by and large, the likable person and the presidential caliber type of things. If you're asking me about the results, I was really hoping that Dr. Bawumia will repeat the 60%. But when I looked at the results, I was glad because I noticed that he had won places that he didn't win. And it's always important how the party see him. And I noticed that in Ashanti, which is what I was interested in, it looked like the spread was wider. The longitude didn't go up.
So only 2 places in Ashanti he didn't win, right?
And then places he didn't win the last time he won it.
Correct.
And this time the 2 places he didn't win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are only 2 places he didn't win.
Yes, but the Educhu one is understandable. And then there was another one. But most places he did. And then in my place, Labadi and Teshi, he increased this. So that when I saw that, I thought that, well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. But yes, I mean, the results was below.
Any comment about Bryan?
Now, I went to Bryan as well.
All right.
I went to Impriso to sit down. No, where is the hotel?
But what does it tell you that a place where Ken led
in Volta region, for instance,
he flipped it?
Oh yes, Bryan. When you looked at Bryan's campaign,
Ken is the biggest loser.
Oh, well, yes, because if you come from 37 to 23, if you look at it on the state of the data, and it will look like, in fact, if you add Bryan and Ken together, the Bawumia still beats them, yes. So it's not as if Bryan took from Ken, or both of them could not match Bawumia. Fair enough. But when I looked at Bryan's campaign and the way he was doing it, I sat there for from 8 to about 2 p.m., watching him meet the delegates, and I looked at it. When I came back, I went to see Akufo-Addo. And I said, I'm going to see Bryan. What he's doing is massive.
You remember his very first meeting with us? He was mathematical.
Oh, yes.
He was crunching figures.
Yes.
He was not dealing with all the mundane stuff.
Yeah.
He was crunching figures.
But
I know this number of people here. I know who to reach. And he worked for him.
And that's what I told when I met Nana Akufo-Addo then. And I told them that whatever happens, and I think I said it publicly, whatever happens in this election, you cannot leave Bryan out of the mobilization and the campaign of 2028 because he seems to know what to do. And if the NPP is going to win 2028 massively, the organizational operation of Bryan Agyapong must be put in place. I think that's, everybody understands that.
Right.
And the ideas of Ken Agyapong and the support he will give must also come.
Right.
Thankfully, we haven't seen him say, I'm leaving party, I'm angry, and we haven't seen Bryan say, I'm leaving party.
Because that's
so
suicide for any one of them, correct?
Because they are learning from Alan. You see, when you leave a party that is in government, you get some attention. Beyond that, nothing happens. So those who have left the party that was in government today, nothing. And look at Mrs. Rawlings. When you leave the party in government, look at Reform Party. When you leave the party in government, you get something in terms of attention. After that, that's it. Nothing happens. So the people who have left NPP when NPP was in government and people thought it was not a good government and you left and they were praising you for it, that's the end of the story.
That's why Bawumia shouldn't and didn't resign.
Yes.
Those people who are talking
Bawumia resigned?
No. Continue.
Okay, so now Bawumia has...
fixing the friction.
Yes, fixing the friction, I think is going to be easier because the party is in opposition. And that he must run very fast. Thankfully, he has a lot of time. The best thing that happened to the NPP was the decision to have this Congress early. And everyone has seen how the matter has settled down. What is exciting for me as a news reporter is that I'm waiting to see what happens in the NDC. I can't wait. And I'm going to look at it with excitement. Because when people talk about a political party, NPP is this, NPP, it's with every political party. And we are going to see it. The Gen Zs who are now seeing their first government and opposition, they will see
now to what you were going to that I paused you.
The Parliamentary.
Yes, is Afenyomakin's position untenable, looking at his non-support for Bawumia and the way he marshaled his constituency for Ken Agyapong?
I think I have to say something for Afenyomakin in terms of the leadership and how they manage their Congress. Whereas the results indicates that Ken Agyapong was very popular in his constituency, and it might mean that he told his delegates or something. Throughout the process, Afenyo, you would say, was one of the most disciplined leaders of the NPP in not showing his hand one way or the other. What happened in the reason why we are saying all we are saying is the results that came out. But if the results didn't come out the way it came out, would you be able to say that Afenyo is Ken or Afenyo is Bawumia?
Well, he managed it well, but
that's the point.
But he was not.
No, he is somewhere. Everybody is going to vote.
And I respect his loyalty. He said
that already. But even with the loyalty, he didn't display it openly like other MPs who came for Ken.
Very well.
And other MPs who came for Bawumia. He's the leader of the group. And he didn't show any such thing. So I think he must be commended for that.
I agree.
If you take us back to the 98 example, which I'm saying mimics what is happening. J.H. Mensah was the leader of the minority before the elections of 1998. J.H. Mensah actually, I believe, contested, or he was not supporting Kufuor, who was his brother-in-law. He didn't support Kufuor. Never did. But when Kufuor won, J.H. Mensah was maintained as the minority leader to the next election. So Kufuor and J.H. Mensah are relatives through marriage. So it might be easy for loyalties to switch, or it might be easy for suspicions of loyalty to be.
Will Afenyo be removed? You know a lot better within the party than some of us do.
I have heard that there are some members of parliament in the minority who are not happy with Afenyomakin. And they believe that because they supported Bawumia, they now have to get Dr. Bawumia to sort of pull it against Afenyo, and they are using the Bawumia victory and Bawumia's hand to carry out their own personal vendetta. I am not sure that if you ask Dr. Bawumia himself, as an MPP leader, as a scholar, as an intellectual, as a politician, whether he thinks Afenyo is doing well or not, I'm not so sure that his answers will be that negative.
What would be the cost of doing such a thing, removing Afenyo?
Oh, as for the cost of removing Afenyo, if they do have some basis, I don't know whether they do. Because we've seen Asidun Ketia do it to Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka. Nothing happened. They won the election. So opposition party, it's a different kettle of fish from a governing party. I don't know the details of what all the MPs know. I'm not in parliament. But some of the MPs really complain that they don't like Afenyo's leadership. But which leader have they not complained about? They've complained about Chairman Sabunsu, they've complained about Toforsen, they complained about Haruna Idrisu. So it's a decision for Dr. Bawumia to make. But how he makes that decision will indicate a lot, and the reasons that he gives for that decision.
Should he not?
Oh, if you have a basis to remove on the basis of loyalty, you should. Because loyalty is everything in politics. Tony Blair and Kufuor would tell you that it's loyalty.
I see that
But
you are
must have a
still in the
basis.
celebratory mood.